Welcome back, everyone, to Bookish Dives.
Great to be back.
We've done a few of these dives before, really digging into some fascinating books and, big ideas together.
We have?
And today, well, we're tackling something I think pretty much everyone bumps up against, something that often holds us back.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving into Scott Allan's book, Do the Hard Things First: How to Win Over Procrastination and Master the Habit of Doing Difficult Work.
Procrastination, a classic. So for this dive, we're looking at your sources, including this book, to really unpack why we put things off, especially, the important stuff, the hard stuff.
Exactly.
Our mission really is to pull out the best strategies Scott Allan offers so you can understand your own patterns better and, more importantly, figure out how to actually break through them.
Yeah, figure out how to get things done. And Scott Allan, he brings a lot of experience here. International best-selling author, trains people in corporations, written, over 15 books?
Yeah, and spent, thousands of hours researching confidence mindset.
Right. He's clearly thought a lot about what gets us stuck.
He really has. And it's worth mentioning, too, if you grab the book, he talks about a bonus guide, the Fearless Confidence Action Guide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's got 17 action plans specifically for tackling fear and building confidence, which, ties right into everything we're about to discuss.
Okay, perfect. So let's jump right in then. How does Scott Allan actually, define procrastination? What is it, really?
Well, he defines it pretty simply, actually.
Yeah.
It's delaying work.
Work you should be doing.
Exactly. You should be doing it, but you choose something more fun instead right now.
Okay.
And look, he says relaxing sometimes is fine, obviously. But it's when it becomes this, damaging habit.
Right, where it actually hurts you long term.
Precisely. Like failing to sort out your finances so it messes up retirement versus just, putting off laundry for a day. The stakes are totally different.
Gotcha. So it's like acting against your own better judgment.
Yeah. Loss of self-control, filling time with often pretty worthless stuff just to feel busy.
So he really sees it as a form of self-defeat, kind of self-sabotage that just creates chaos.
Yes. And the core reason he points to, it's basically trying to fix your mood in the short term. Emotion regulation, right?
Oh, okay.
We prioritize feeling good now over, achieving those big future goals or ensuring our well-being down the line. It's about escaping that feeling of discomfort in the moment.
And that desire for immediate good feelings, that leads straight into this internal conflict he talks about, doesn't it? The present self versus the future self.
Oh, this is a huge concept in the book.
Yeah.
Think about it. Future you sets the big goals.
Right. Retirement, travel, that big project.
Exactly. Future you wants those long-term rewards. But only present you can actually do the work today.
And present you often wants the easy way out.
All too often, yeah.
Yep.
Present you gets tempted by instant gratification. Future you wants the workout. Present you wants the sofa and scrolling.
Future you wants the report done. Present you wants to clear the easy emails first.
That's it. It's that internal tug of war.
Yeah.
And he says we need to cultivate a pay now and play later mindset.
Pay the price now, get the reward later. Makes sense.
Right. Do the uncomfortable thing now for the bigger payoff. And this ties into something called delay discounting.
Delay discounting.
Yeah, it's like we psychologically reduce the value of rewards that are far off in the future. So a big future gain feels less appealing than a smaller immediate one.
Oh, like that analogy he uses, the speck on the horizon that turns out to be a giant ship heading right for you.
Exactly that. The future reward or consequence seems tiny way off in the distance, but as it gets closer, bam, its real size is unavoidable. And that discounting makes the immediate treat incredibly hard to resist.
Okay, so we get what it is and why we have this internal battle. But why do we get really, truly stuck? What are the deeper drivers and fears he talks about?
Well, he argues procrastination isn't just occasional laziness. It becomes a real concrete habit built up over years, years of avoiding the hard stuff.
Okay.
And one big factor is just a lack of urgency. If a goal doesn't have a clear, pressing deadline, I'll get to it eventually.
Right, which often means never. Another pattern, choosing the easy things first.
Oh, I do this. Tidying my desk instead of starting the big report.
We all do. It feels productive, right? What's the harm? I'm working.
Yeah.
But it's often low-value stuff, like hours on email. Your brain gets trained to seek easy and fun.
And the important stuff gets left undone.
Exactly. And then she really drills down into these 5 big fears. These seem, fundamental.
Okay, what are they?
First up, the big one, fear of failure. We just avoid the task because we're scared we won't be good enough or we'll let ourselves or others down. Scott Allan even shares his own story about failing classes, realizing later it was basically self-sabotage driven by this fear. It also includes fearing feedback, especially harsh feedback. Yeah, it feels safer not to try sometimes, but then you definitely don't succeed.
Precisely. He really pushes reframing criticism as, like, data, information to learn from. Okay, second fear, fear of the unknown.
Ooh, stepping outside the comfort zone.
Yeah, avoiding action because you just don't know what'll happen. He talks about his move to Japan as a conscious effort to crush the fear of leaving what was familiar.
Wow.
And there's that story about his friend Debbie staying in a terrible relationship for years, terrified of the unknown, of leaving. But she eventually did, and it changed her whole life.
Those stories really hit home.
Yeah. You can't predict everything, but trusting your gut, visualizing a better future, that can help push past it.
Okay, what's number 3?
Fear of discomfort. This one's maybe the simplest, most common driver.
Just not wanting things to feel hard or boring.
Exactly. That obsession with avoiding anything unpleasant right now. Scott says you have to train your mind to lean into discomfort. Start small. Energy builds energy, you know. The resistance is usually highest right at the beginning.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Heard that one before.
It's true, though. Fourth is fear of criticism. Now, this is a bit different from fear of failure.
How so?
It's specifically about dreading judgment from others. So you might hold back, not give 100%, or self-sabotage because you fear what people will say. Especially if you grow up with a lot of criticism or deal with social anxiety.
Ah, okay. So it's about external judgment.
Right. And again, the fix is reframing criticism. And the fifth one, fear of rejection.
Hearing no.
Yep. Avoiding asking someone out, asking for help, pitching an idea, asking for a raise. Anywhere you might get rejected.
Yeah, that's tough.
He suggests asking yourself that powerful question. How would you act if you knew you couldn't fail or couldn't be rejected? Being told no, he argues, isn't the end. It actually conditions you to be more resilient, to keep trying.
So the fear isn't really the no, it's the vulnerability of asking.
Exactly. And beyond those 5 big fears, he points out other self-defeating patterns, like denial.
Pretending you're not procrastinating?
Yeah, by doing other productive things, calling friends for motivation instead of just starting the work.
Or valorization, like bragging about being a procrastinator. I work best under pressure.
Yes. Identifying with the habit. And a really big one, externalization, blaming everything else.
The gym was closed, my internet was down, the bank line was too long.
Exactly. Scott calls it a mind game. We're programmed to find excuses.
Yeah.
He shares his own bankruptcy story, initially blaming banks, his wife, Amazon, everyone but himself.
Ouch.
Until he realized he hadn't taken ownership of simply tracking his expenses. Taking total ownership, he says, is key.
That takes courage, but yeah, essential.
It really is. Then there's the internal struggle with perfectionism.
It has to be perfect track.
Right. All or nothing thinking. Fear of mistakes, fear of publishing flaws.
Yeah.
It leads to either never starting or just endlessly tweaking, like delaying writing a book forever because it's not quite right.
Which means it never gets finished.
Never sees the light of day. And finally, just a weak capacity for regulating self-control. Difficulty overriding those impulses, maybe due to poor health or just weak cognitive function at that moment.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of ways we get tripped up. So, knowing all that, how does the book help us build a system to actually do something about it? What are the strategies?
Right. It's not just about understanding the problem. It's a very action-oriented book.
Yeah.
And it starts somewhere maybe unexpected.
Oh, yeah.
Where
Forgiveness.
forgiving yourself for procrastinating.
Daily, he suggests. Let go of the guilt. It just weighs you down. And connected to that is a big mindset shift.
Being open to change.
Being open to learning, yeah. Visualizing the real consequences of not acting. And consciously deciding to step outside that comfort zone. You know that quote, all progress takes place outside the comfort zone.
Michael John Bobak. Yeah, it's a good one. Comfort keeps you stuck. Okay, so mindset first. What are the practical steps?
First step, make a list of things to get done, but he calls it the anti-procrastination list.
Okay, what's different about it? It's not just today's to-dos. It's everything unfinished. All those nagging tasks, projects, things that are broken, clutter, anything taking up mental energy. Remember that Tim Urban drawing, the procrastinator's brain full of random unfinished stuff?
Oh, yeah, the panic monster.
Yeah.
Seeing it all listed out, that could be illuminating or terrifying.
Both, maybe.
Right.
But it brings clarity to what you're actually avoiding. Then Write down your hard task.
Just write it down.
Specifically, the book suggests writing your #1 priority task down multiple times a day. Scott says he writes his 5 times in a dedicated notebook.
Why? Like, what does that do?
It's like rehearsal. Makes it feel more concrete, less like this big, scary, abstract thing. Solidifies the intention.
Okay, write it down. Then what?
Then, time block 5 minutes to start. This is absolutely critical.
Just 5 minutes?
Just 5. The goal isn't finishing, it's just starting. Overcoming that initial inertia. Put it on your calendar, 5 minutes, only work on that task. Scott apparently does this right after meditating in the morning. He asks, if not now, when? 5 minutes. It often breaks the dam. You get going.
Yeah, sometimes starting really is the hardest part. What about getting help? Staying on track?
Accountability. Huge deal. He mentions Hugh Jackman using a coach.
Right.
It's just way harder to slack off when someone else is checking in. A friend, a coach, your business partner, a mastermind group, whoever. It adds that external urgency, helps you clarify what needs doing.
Because it's easy to let yourself off the hook.
Totally. Scott's pretty blunt. Self-accountability alone rarely works long-term. We're just too good at making excuses for ourselves. And don't let the fear of asking for help stop you. That's brave too.
Find someone to hold your feet to the fire. Got it. And speaking of commitments, use your calendar.
Yes. Treat those important tasks like real appointments. Put them on the calendar. Time blocking and using your calendar go hand in hand.
Makes it official.
Right. Bob Goff quote, "The battle for happiness begins on the pages of our calendars." He also likes using a physical wall calendar, marking off days you work on your goal. That don't break the chain method.
Oh yeah, seeing the streak grow can be super motivating. Don't want to break it.
Definitely. Another strategy, visualize doing the hard thing first.
Like mental rehearsal.
Exactly. Actively picture yourself going through the steps, tackling the task successfully. It shifts your brain from feeling paralyzed to feeling like an action taker. Your brain apparently doesn't really distinguish strong imagination from reality.
So visualizing makes the actual doing feel less scary.
That's the idea. Schedule maybe 15 minutes just for visualization.
Yeah.
Build that mental muscle. And here's one that resonates. Close open loops.
Unfinished business.
Yeah. All those things you started but didn't finish, decisions hanging over you. They create stress, anxiety, fatigue, burnout even. Make a visible list of all your open loops, work, home, everywhere. And then tackle them, one by one, starting things and not finishing. It's a huge mental drain. Closing them brings relief, boosts confidence.
Like clearing mental clutter.
Okay, it really clears the decks. Also crucial, master priorities. Focus. You can't have 10 #1 priorities.
Yeah.
Pick the one most important thing right now. The thing that gets you closest to your goal. And really connect that action to the future outcome you want.
But what about all the little things that pull you away? Checking email, switching tasks?
The impulse snaps. You have to break them. Notice those urges. Track them even. Scott found he was switching tasks like 47 times an hour.
Wow.
He got it way down. Simple things help, like locking away notifications. Recognize that multitasking is often just another way to avoid the real work.
Feels busy but isn't actually productive. Yeah.
Right. Now, some tasks you don't have to just muscle through. You can automate, process, or delegate.
Okay, break that down.
Look for things you can automate like setting up automatic bill pay or savings transfers. Create a clear process for repetitive things like how you organize digital files. And figure out what you can delegate. Hire help. Ask a colleague.
Removes the stress and overwhelm if it's off your plate or systemized.
Exactly. And the book gives good tips on how to ask for help effectively. Because delegating isn't always easy.
Knowing how and when to ask is key. What if there's one specific thing that just feels like a total roadblock?
Then you need to identify your constraints, your bottlenecks. What's the actual obstacle? Internal, external.
Could be tech, could be lack of knowledge.
Could be fear. Scott says ask. What's the fear connected to this obstacle? If asking for help is the bottleneck, is it fear of rejection? Can you outsource or delegate around the bottleneck? He says your success speed is tied to how fast you tackle these choke points.
Find the logjam, name the fear, figure out how to clear it.
You got it. And this is key too. Start small.
Don't try to change everything at once.
Exactly. Massive changes usually fail. Small, gradual, consistent steps build habits that last. 5 push-ups a day. Learn 5 new words a day. Save $3 a day. Consistency is everything.
Feels way less daunting than a huge overhaul.
Much less. And related to focusing effort, employ the 80-20 principle.
Pareto principle. 20% of effort yields 80% of results.
Apply that ruthlessly. Figure out which 20% of your tasks give you the biggest bang for your buck. Focus there. And just as important, identify the low-value 80% and minimize or eliminate them. Track your time for a week. See where it's really going. It can be eye-opening.
Stop spending 80% of your time on the trivial many. Focus on the vital few.
That's the essence. And make sure that first thing you tackle each day is in that vital 20%, not the easy 80%. To keep all this on track, he also recommends scheduling a 1-hour weekly review session.
Look back at the week.
Yeah. Review your goals, your anti-procrastination list, especially anything you didn't finish. Deal with it before the weekend so it's not hanging over you.
A dedicated check-in. Smart.
And finally, a really big piece of this puzzle. Control your distractions and manage shiny object syndrome, SOS.
Ah, distractions, the procrastinator's best friend.
Scott says distraction starts in the mind. We often seek it to avoid the hard stuff, an SOS. That's constantly chasing the next new idea, the next course, the next tool.
Wasting time, money, energy, never finishing anything.
Right. He offers the static strategy for SOS. You ready?
Lay it on me.
Sit on new ideas before jumping. Think them through. Argue the pros and cons with someone. Stay put for a while. Don't switch immediately. Imagine the consequences of not sticking with your current thing. And complete what you started before moving on.
Static. Sit, think, argue, stay, imagine, complete. I like it.
Beyond that, limit choices. Talk through big purchases. Cut down research rabbit holes and physically remove triggers.
Yeah.
Scott got rid of his TV.
Whoa, serious commitment. Visual cues help too, right?
Often.
Roll boards, pictures.
Definitely. Keep the goal visible. And organize your digital space. A messy computer, a digital wasteland, he calls it, causes overwhelm, encourages multitasking, drains energy.
Digital clutter, mental clutter. Makes sense.
His system is simple. Gather everything in one place, then ask about each file. Do I use this? When did I last use it? Is it outdated? Delete or archive ruthlessly.
Okay, what else? Commitment devices.
Yeah, make it harder for your future self to bail. Eliminate the easy escape route. Automate good habits, reduces those decision points where you might cave.
Like the automatic savings transfer. Takes the decision out of it.
Exactly. And building on start small, you can reduce the size of the action even further.
Make it ridiculously easy to start.
So easy, there's almost zero resistance. Read for 1 minute, do one push-up, write one sentence, just initiate. Momentum follows.
Lower the barrier to practically nothing.
Yep. And Scott's big on using rewards. The Premack principle and temptation bundling.
Okay, explain those.
Premack principle is simple. Use something you like doing to reinforce something you dislike doing. First, do the undesirable task, X. Then you get to do the desirable one, Y.
Eat your vegetables, then you get dessert.
Basically. Temptation bundling, from Catherine Milkman, combines them. You pair something you should do but avoid, like exercise, with something you enjoy but maybe isn't productive, like listening to a great podcast.
Like only letting yourself listen to bookish dives while you're folding laundry.
Perfect. You bundle the reward with the task. Now, what if the negative behavior feels really stuck, overwhelming?
Yeah, what then?
He talks about breaking negative behavior. Sometimes, he says, you have to admit powerlessness if it's really out of control, like step 1 in AA.
That sounds serious.
It can be. We're conditioned to run from discomfort, right? Which fuels procrastination. For moments of overwhelm, he suggests 3 steps. 1, make a decision now to shift. 2, sit in silence, quiet the noise. 3, identify those repetitive negative thoughts, I'll never finish. This is too hard.
He links overwhelm to poor planning and putting things off, right? Leading to stress.
Exactly. Physical and mental stress. To tackle overwhelm specifically, stop multitasking. Focus only on the #1 priority now. Use breathing exercises. Consciously replace negative thoughts with empowering ones and write down the trigger for the overwhelm. Understand it.
And that ties into breaking limiting self-talk, too.
Absolutely. What you tell yourself matters. Calling yourself a procrastinator reinforces it. Monitor that inner voice. Reframe it. Use positive affirmations. I am someone who gets things done. Check in with your feelings. Use positive quotes as anchors.
Change the internal script?
Precisely. And importantly, these strategies aren't just for work projects. Scott emphasizes applying them everywhere.
Like health, diet, exercise, common procrastination areas?
Yep. Set up a plan. Identify roadblocks, time, cost. Schedule me time for recovery. The book has questions to guide you in creating a health plan.
What about around the home?
Yeah.
Fixing stuff, decluttering?
Ignoring those things drains motivation, lowers your quality of life. Make that list again. fix, or declutter. Decide if you'll do it or hire someone. Scott's own list had 47 items. The friend who fixed up their house and increased its value? It makes a difference. Turning a blind eye just drags you down.
We covered workspace with the digital stuff.
Right. Organizing that digital chaos frees up so much mental energy. Use a system. One place. Ask the questions. Decide.
Relationships. Sometimes hard conversations get put off.
Definitely a hard thing. Avoiding them breeds resentment. He suggests planning the conversation. Key points. Understand first, be open, stick to the topic, use I statements, don't interrupt, drop assumptions, watch the pace.
Good framework for those tricky talk. And lastly, finances.
Another big one. Track your numbers. Cut expenses. Save consistently, pay yourself first. Automate that 10%. Maybe start a side business. Take intentional action. He mentions authors like Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, recommends their books, and shares his own habits using budgeting tools, saving, side hustles.
Apply do the hard thing first to your money.
That's the core idea.
Wow. Okay, that is a really comprehensive approach Scott Allan lays out. So if we were to boil it all down for you, the listener, what's the absolute core message from do the hard things first?
I think the main thing is this. Procrastination isn't just being lazy. It's a real habit, often driven by fear and our desire for instant comfort. But, and this is the hopeful part Scott Allan shows, it can be overcome. By understanding why you do it, facing those fears, and using these kinds of intentional strategies consistently.
Starting small, getting accountability, using your calendar, making that choice.
Exactly. Choosing the hard thing first. You really can break the cycle.
And when you start applying these ideas, you can see how it's not just about checking off a to-do list. It really impacts, well, everything. Your big goals, your health, money, relationships, even just how your home or workspace feels.
It's about taking back control, right? Shifting from reacting and avoiding to being proactive and taking action.
It really does make you think about your own patterns, listening to all this. Maybe ask yourself, are you paying now to play later? Or are you playing now and racking up a debt that's going to come due? And maybe, is there just one hard thing, one decision or action you're putting off right now that, if you just did it, could change everything?
That's a powerful question to sit with. That's really the challenge the book leaves you with.
Well, that wraps up this bookish dive. We really hope exploring these ideas from do the hard things first gives you some fuel to tackle whatever your hard things are. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And if you found this helpful, please do follow Bookish Dives wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back with more dives into fascinating books and ideas.
Until next time.